All right, so welcome everyone to the Open Talks episode number 15. In this episode, we are going to talk about lots of things, right? Which includes first two topics are including Tesla.
I mean, it's everything
So
is Tesla.
first is like everything is Tesla as of now, right? Even like humans are dancing on the stage in the names of robots. So so first is Tesla's AI chip. They are calling it DOJO, literally the background of today's video. Second is Tesla robot. We still don't know if that's a joke or not. Yeah, don't count our words on it. It could be a joke. The third thing is again Tesla. I mean, it's not a main topic, but we had to bring it up to you because this is something related to rights to repair and those things. So Tesla is basically stopping,
Tesla is the next Apple, right?
their superchargers. Yeah, it's the next level, absolutely. So if you will refurbish your Tesla will not let you charge your
I
car
mean, that is
with
a
the
small
supercharger
issue,
anymore.
right? Not really a big issue. Like, you don't need much
Yeah, I
charging.
mean
Like,
you can always
you can
right.
always put
Yeah,
gasoline
you
in
can
the car,
always
right?
charge from your yeah, yeah. In theory, if it was hybrid, yeah, then
I mean, like
I
those
mean,
people who put, like there was a girl, right, in a video where
okay,
she tried to,
okay.
put gasoline in Tesla, right? Yeah,
Oh,
that happens.
oh man,
But yeah, I mean,
what
like
the
it's
hell?
if it doesn't charge, it's a brick, right? Like we can call the car a brick now, right?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Then it's not uh, what you. I mean, the thing is that that's not what you bought. I mean, that's not the exact state of the car when you bought the car, right? So
Absolutely,
uh, it's one feature less. Yeah, I mean, let's see what is happening,
absolutely.
right? It's in the US, not as of now here, so that is doesn't concern us. But let's see. And then we are going to talk about Ola electric scooter. So yeah, this actually concerns us, right? And it is pretty good, like to see electric things coming up, rising up. Yeah, I mean, let's see, right? Okay, so other than that, we are having M1 and Arch Linux, combination of both of them. I mean, M1 chip, right? And the Arch Linux. That is Asahi
I mean,
Linux.
like best of both
And
worlds,
what
right?
is it? Best of both, sir. Yeah, I mean, M1 runs everything like a snap, right? And Arch also runs everything like a snap. So both snaps will kind of collide now.
It will be a super colossal
Yeah,
snap, right?
absolutely. Now everything will run in a snap.
It is like Infinity Gauntlet, right? You know, you
And
you got you got two stones now.
yeah, yeah. And as you can see, like our starting is like very much funny and interesting. Last thing we should talk about is something really concerning the freedom of users and something really serious. So that is Firefox is losing a lot of users, has lost lots of users. So let's talk about that at last. Okay, Abhiram. So I guess let's roll the intro, right?
Sure.
All right. So the first topic is Tesla's AI chip that is called as Project Dojo. So the interesting thing is that the leader of that project, right, is Indian. I mean, that is a proud thing. I mean, literally everything is run by Indians. Now even Tesla's main future, I mean, kind of future is being led by an Indian. So that is interesting. His name is Ganesh, right? He presented yesterday in some conference this project. So basically, what this project is having is, I mean, this is meant for, I would say, the machine learning task. That's what they are also telling, and their architecture also looks I mean, kind of guides in the same direction. because it has physical things to basically multiply matrices, and basically that is what is happening in deep learning and machine learning. So second thing is that the architecture itself is meant to be deployed in a distributed environment. So I mean, I went through the presentation, half of the presentation, and the things were very technical. So I mean, let's bring Abhiram in, right? So yeah, Abhiram,
So
like
yeah, like whenever we think about you can say machine learning, right? We have to think about matrices, right? Because the main operation we do in machine learning is ax plus b, right? That is basically multiply then add, right? That is what we do. And to do that, it's basically you can say a, x, and b are three matrices, and we are doing a matrix multiplication between a and x, then adding the b matrix to get the you know the output matrix, right? That is how you compute the neurons, like what is the output of neurons, all those things. You like I'm just giving you a pretty brief explanation of that. Like it's not just yet, right? I mean, there's a lot of matrix multiplication going on, not just one matrix multiplication, right? There's a lot of things going on. Like there's a drop of layers, those kind of things do have dropout matrices, right? I mean, those things get multiplied and all those things, right? So everything, everything aside, we know that AI deals with matrices. And if we kind of get a hardware unit to do the matrix multiplication instead of a software, there is, let's say, we have loaded a particular set of variables, I mean set of values, to the memory. I mean, not the memory, the registers, right? So we can take the whole registers and multiply with another whole registers. Then what happens is, instead of multiplying each and every register together, right, and doing the result manually, it immediately gives out the result, right? So that literally accelerates the whole environment, like. And I think it is made for AI, so there should be also some kind of acceleration from the hardware side, which is not even in the architecture diagram, right? They should be accelerating
I see.
OpenAI most probably, because it's Tesla, so it's Elon Musk. Elon Musk has OpenAI, right? So
Yep, yep,
yeah, I think they might be accelerating that. But the whole thing is that this is like a TPU, right? Right? So TPU is like tensor processing unit, but the problem is it is just for tensors. It only works with the TensorFlow, right? So this can work with anything
yes,
actually, right? I mean, it's just a matrix multiplication unit. You just have a raw computation power with in your hand, right? It's like you can say a GPU, but
right.
a GPU is normally not that good at. I mean, they are good at doing SIMD, right? GPU, but you can say GPUs normally works with vectors rather than matrices, right? Not like a. It is not like for the GPU to work with matrices. I mean, GPU at last works with matrices, right? But you know, in meanwhile, it just works with vectors. So yeah, I think this will be a pretty good step up for the game, because people don't have to code
Absolutely.
anymore, right? It's like already there, right? I mean, it's like you have to still code it, but the matrix multiplication, these things which are like a pretty bare bones nowadays, right? I mean, think about it, like you will be doing matrix multiplication, matrix addition, and these kind of things day to day, like in the computer, right?
Exactly, exactly.
And I think it is
I
a
mean, in literally in images, in terms of images, it is that only. Which
absolutely.
is good. Tesla's use case, right?
And also
So
for windowing system, right? I mean, to render the UI and everything, right? I mean, everything is matrices, right?
yes,
So I mean, it's
right,
a it's a
absolutely.
it's a pretty you can say pretty much uh, long time, right? Like it should have came earlier, right? This technology. It's been a long time since we are
Yeah,
multiplying, doing
yeah,
operations with metrics, but we didn't have a hardware metrics unit. I mean, Intel is having one, right? So
correct.
yeah. Uh,
Okay, it's the latest gen, right? As you see it in the
Yeah,
email.
absolutely. So it's the latest gen. Um,
Okay,
but anyway, right? I mean,
okay.
like this is a pretty good, you can say, advancement, right, to the whole technology.
I see, I see. Right. I mean, everyone is going in the same direction. Like Google's tensor chip that we talked in the maybe the second last episode, and this NVIDIA uh, not Nvidia, right? It already has CUDA and those things. But yeah, this Tesla and now Intel. Now AMD is the only one which is remaining. So let's see what they do, right?
Yeah, and means like they will do something, right? They should like. I mean, at
I
this
mean,
point,
they
if
are
everyone is
the
doing something, they will also do something, like
the thing is that AMD is the innovation horse, right? So
yes, yes,
I mean, the horsepower of innovation comes generally from AMD and also Nvidia, right? But AMD is also pretty good inventors here. So
yes.
pretty sure that by next year
I
or
mean, at this
maybe
point,
two years
the
down
Zen
the
4
line.
specs which got leaked, right? It's like pretty, pretty
Oh
good.
man, yeah, right.
It's like a 90,
That
96
that
cores or 92, right?
is next level.
And
Yep,
like
yep.
up to
92, yeah.
512 MB of cache, right? I mean, that is like obviously in server chips only, right? But seriously, half a gig of cache, right? That is something of another realm, right?
Yeah. I mean, whole Arch Linux can reside 4 to 5 times in that cache itself.
Yeah, like literally, you can just boot the whole operating system from cache itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Even I guess Windows 7 can boot maybe most probably.
Maybe XP, right? Let's not push to 7.
Yeah. Right. XP can, right.
XP literally boots with, I guess, 128 MB of RAM, right? So in theory, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it can
absolutely.
boot with 5 MB of cache memory.
Right.
And I mean, like, when Intel is pushing, you can say less core count. AMD is really pushing core count. And I think that is what people want, right? I mean, they want parallelism. And
Yeah. I mean, nowadays everything is going in terms of towards the direction of multi-cores.
absolutely.
Even this Tesla chip is also having distributed kind of thing, right? So that's also multi CPUs thing, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, that's the correct direction, I
The
guess.
basic reason why we use GPUs for most of the computation is because, like, it has so much cores in it, right? I mean, it has thousands of
Exactly.
cores.
Yeah.
And cores literally
Absolutely.
works a lot better with machine learning. So think about in the future, right? I mean, you'll be having a epic processor with a lot of cores, and you don't need any GPU anymore because the CPU itself is very powerful. Computer compared to the AI, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like the thing is, supercomputers, right? I think they actually have GPUs and CPUs, right? The thing is, GPU will keep on catching
Yes.
up, right? As the CPU catches up, like it's just
Yeah. I mean, Nvidia is the next level company, so
yeah. I mean,
uh,
even
they will
AMD
build up
has
anything.
the GPUs, which is really good, right?
Yeah.
It's just that the
Yeah.
NVIDIA
Yeah.
CUDA is currently pretty good,
Yeah. That's the only thing. Right.
but I think
I
it
mean,
can
that's the only
change, right?
thing.
Like in the future, it
Yeah.
can change.
Absolutely.
It's just that
Right.
NVIDIA has
If
a
if
lot of headroom in the sense, like you can say, as a company, NVIDIA is pretty stable, right, at this point. To a point where they can
yes.
literally say, okay, these universities just promote NVIDIA, right? Just put CUDA in your curriculum, right? You know, just make people learn CUDA,
Exactly.
right? And these kind of things, I guess, like
Right.
makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, uh, even like ROCM and these kind of things exist, right, for Redon, uh, but people are not really aware of that, right? You can do generic
Yeah.
computation with
Yeah.
the thing, but the main problem is that there is a less amount of you can say software which supports ROCM, right? TensorFlow supports it, but it's like just TensorFlow, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that doesn't support ROCM, but I think in the future, right? Let's say like in the future, maybe it will get better and better, right, as the time goes. And uh,
Yeah.
I am 100% sure, right? Like
Right.
when comparing NVIDIA and AMD GPUs, the raw horsepower is always with
Mm-hmm.
AMD, but the convenience factor is with NVIDIA. Like, I mean, horsepower per
True.
buck, right? That is what I'm saying. Like, not really like a you know 3090
Yeah.
3090 has a really good horsepower and really big price tag too, right, on top of it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, let's see, right? I mean, I don't have any AMD GPUs as of now. Maybe in future I will buy one and maybe like let you know, right, how it goes.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. That's right. Right. Okay, so I guess that brings us to the end of the first topic, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the second topic is about Tesla
Oh
robots.
man.
So what they were calling it, uh, uh, I mean, there was a particular name they took in the States, right?
Eh,
Bots or something. Yeah, Tesla bot. Yeah, Tesla
Tesla
bot.
bot.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So it's the funny thing is, like, Elon, I mean, kind of said in explained in this way, right? The bot is slow enough that you can outrun it in emergency situations, and it's not that powerful so that you can, I mean, you can also overpower it in terms of emergency situations. So like he is explaining the negative parts of the bots first when it comes to the presentation, and then he went to the positive parts that it can do normal human motions, it can kind of assist you around the home, and maybe also the main point of the Tesla bots is to develop something which can replace the human labor, right? So we all know that we don't want to take down the jobs of those people, but the thing is that human labor is generally not a good. I mean, the laboring thing is not a good thing for any human, right?
I mean,
So
it's not a productive use
eventually
of
that
time,
should.
you can say, of humans,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So instead those people can be streamlined into another kind of task instead of just
Which
laboring.
requires much more
I mean,
brain work.
these robots can. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and unless Tesla also replaces that, but yeah,
But like think
let's wait
about
for
in the
that.
future, like I mean, the menial jobs, right? Cleaning the canals and keeping the drainage system working and all those things, right? Where
Yes,
where the people might
yes.
be exposed
Even
to a lot of conditions, right? And they might actually end
right,
up having a
right.
big fever, right? Those are the places
Yes,
where this thing literally shines because in theory we can deploy,
yeah,
right? I mean, if
yeah.
they make it water resistant, right, we can deploy and it will fix everything for us, and without harming any humans, right? And for other labor we can still
Yes,
have like non-robotic labor, and there can also be like a pretty much you can say uh, there's a lot of use for robots, right? That is as a home security, right? I mean, if you are attacked, right, it is much more
correct.
easier to make the robot learn how to fight really than you learning how to fight. So in theory robot can
Yep,
actually serve as a protection, right, guard, like. So the whole thing is, I mean, like
true.
what Elon Musk is aiming at is, we can say a little bit over what I say. It's like a, you know, he's too much uh, overestimating, right?
Ambitious.
Overestimating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because see, like the robot basically looks exactly like a human. Like I mean, the arm thickness, everything, literally looked exactly like a human,
Even
right?
slimmer than human, right? General human is not that much slim,
It's
so
like
either
you can
even
say the
slimmer.
slimmest of the humans. That is how it is designed. I mean, thinking about him, yeah, like he
Yes,
he really wants that to work because like Teslas are really like slim, right? You kind of know the car itself is very much streamlined, right? I mean, it doesn't have any bulk to it. It doesn't look bulky, and it looks literally like small and cute kind of thing, right? That is how Teslas are made. So he kind of wants to extend that to robot also, I think. But when the Boston Dynamics and all those big ass companies are literally trying to make a robot which just even like walks perfectly, right, at this point. I mean, there are robots which can walk properly, but still like there are a lot of bugs to be fixed on walking, right? And
yeah,
and
yep,
those
yep.
things literally require a lot of sensors, lidars and proximity sensors and lot of things, right? I mean, you have seen the Boston robot, Boston Dynamics robot,
That's right,
which
right.
literally has a
Yes,
plethora of sensors on the head and body, right? And incorporating all those in this robot will be a pretty good challenge. And one thing also you might have to think about again is how they store the power, because By the looks of it, the robot doesn't have much space to store the batteries inside, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think he should have already researched a little bit, or it might be just even a joke, right? I mean, it won't even happen, right?
yeah, yeah. It seems at this point, it seems like a joke, but we never know, right?
The main thing is like you can say Elon Musk already knows, right? I mean, if he is going to sell this thing, nobody is going to buy it except maybe like a big corporations, right? So even if he disappoint with the presentation, they are not interested in the presentations. Like I mean, the big corporations, they are literally
Yeah, yeah,
focused on the spec sheet and stuff like that. So even if Elon Musk kind of focused on the negative first, then the positives, it is pretty much okay, right?
I see, I see. That is correct.
And maybe like this chip, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it is inside this robot, right? The chip we talked about the first. Dojo, right? Project Dojo.
Oh man, yeah.
Maybe it is inside
Yeah,
this
yeah,
robot also,
that
right?
is
So
correct.
yeah. I mean, literally he dressed up some person to dance on the stage. Yeah.
Yep, 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 yep.
I mean, like, right. Yeah, like that is what he wants, I think, to for the robot to at least do, right? To come in the stage
Yeah,
and
yeah.
dance, right? I think at this point
Right,
everyone
right, right.
wants to do. The Boston Dynamics dance, like you remember that?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It had every robot, I think. The robot dog and
Yes.
the mean big robot
Yep, yep.
and even the crane kind of robot, right?
Yeah.
Everything was there. I mean, pretty much that is not an AI.
Yes.
It's a script, right? Running like literally a script.
Yeah, that is absolutely scripted.
So,
Yes.
I mean, at least it is balancing by itself. I think those things are already run by
Hmm.
inside
Yes.
chips, I
Yes.
guess.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, like I guess if one person can do it, it might be Elon Musk, right? Because they have already worked with motors.
Correct.
They have literally made. I mean, the Teslas. You kind of know like a lot of motors are there, right? Like there is a windows are motorized, the doors are motorized, even the handle is motorized. Like literally everything is motorized in Tesla, right? And even there is a the
Exactly.
clearance adjustment like with hydraulics, right? To increase and decrease the
Oh, I see. I see.
clearance.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, right? I mean, might be wrong, but like I think it is there. And I mean the
Yeah. It
motors,
is. It is.
like like one person who has worked with a lot of motors, I think it's Elon Musk, right? He has even built spacecrafts, right, which can actually reuse the landers, right? So that is pretty amazing, right? Rockets which are reusable.
That is next level.
And those things really require a lot of mechanical engineering, right? Kind of like motors and solenoids, lot of things, right? And yeah, I think they
Right.
already have perfected a lot of things. So in theory, if someone has to do it, it might be just Elon Musk because they have all the resources. They have OpenAI, right? They have the chip now. They have the fabrication now, right? Then there is like all the experience coming from the car industry, then the space industry. I mean, who has a space industry, right? Like does Boston Dynamics has it? No, right? So yeah, like, and I mean, like just talking about the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? I think Elon Musk is like placed in the perfect sweet spot where he is capable of doing this, right? If he wants to, he can.
Yes.
So
He also has the supercharger network. So even if bots want to charge themselves, they can charge.
he also owns a brick company, right?
Yeah.
Those bricks are pretty much
Oh man.
durable, right? Like there was a drop test, if I'm correct. Like which channel was it? I think Smarter Everyday did a drop test of boring bricks.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, he kind of bought
Right.
a brick, a hollow brick, and a boring brick, right? And he kind of dropped from different heights,
Right.
right?
Right.
And boring didn't break until
Okay.
the I guess the highest height. It chipped off a little bit now and then,
Wow.
like but didn't break right into two or three.
Yes. That is great.
So yeah, like I mean, he is good at making everything, right? My friend actually, like, used to say,
Yeah.
Teslas are, you can say, having a lot of design challenges, and also some of the things are not really perfect in Teslas. Like, there are a lot of defects, you can see.
Oh, yeah, that is correct.
So yeah, like some of the things which a normal manufacturer, car manufacturer, are perfect, right? They don't really compromise on. Tesla compromises a lot. Like, one of the things he was saying is the
Yeah.
clearance between the door and the chassis, like, I mean, like the body of the car, right? Like, it is not even.
Yeah.
Like, it just changes, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
should be normally
That
even,
is
right?
correct. I
Uh,
mean, these are the quality issues from Tesla. Generally,
Absolutely.
thing is that normal companies have went through decades of process to fine tune their quality
Absolutely.
quality department. But Tesla didn't have that much of time because they are just, I guess, in the market from, I guess, 5 6 years, right? So yeah, I
And
mean
see
that
the
will take a
stocks,
lot of
right?
time for them, right?
Like within 5 6 years,
Oh man,
they are like from here to here, right? So
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, like I mean, the stocks are like flying, right, for Tesla. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, if I could buy, right, I could have bought stocks of a Tesla way back. When I heard the first Model S, I knew like at the time also that this company is going to fly. But yeah, I mean, one thing, I didn't have money. Second
that
is I couldn't buy the stocks of US.
yeah, right. I mean, one major thing is that Tesla's, how the door opens, right? It has to be literally come down a little bit, then only it opens.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is because it has
right.
that rimless window, right? It looks like a, you can say,
Yes,
literally a piece of glass floating in the air, right?
correct.
And because of that, if you kind of open the car really fast, right? That is like, literally you just open, right? There is a very high probability to break the, glass.
Right, right, right.
Those are some of the design challenges, right? I mean, still Elon Musk is. But
Yes,
I think,
yes.
you don't need to even open the car, right? I mean, it's like you can say to open the door and it will like slowly open it, right? Then you can just push it, right? Kind of like at this point,
Correct.
everything is motorized to a point where, like I'm like thinking, are these people even lazy,
Yeah.
right? They are like, car. If you just go near the car, the door literally opens it for you. If you want to open the trunk can be opened automatically. Right? Everything literally opens automatically, right? In Tesla, to a point where you'll be thinking, okay, I mean, this is perfect way to make people lazy, right? Because people are like, okay, gasoline cars, yeah, like it doesn't move the
Yeah.
move the trunk. I mean, open the trunk really easily, and maybe like the adjustment of the trunk is also not there, right? In Tesla, you can like
Correct,
set
correct.
the maximum distance, right? You need to open the trunk. So if you have some kind of a
Oh
garage
yeah,
where
yeah.
literally the trunk
Yes.
hits a thing, and you can just
Right,
set the
right.
distance and it will like open it. I mean, people are getting spoiled,
Yep,
right, at
yep.
this point with all this technology. People are like losing their thing. Like, okay, the old days where we just opened the trunk with literally keys, right? Nowadays you don't need even keys.
Yeah.
You can just go with your like key thingy, right? I mean the RF key thingy, and it will be already
Right.
open for you, right? You just have to pull it, right? But
Yes.
in Tesla, you
Yes.
don't have to do it anymore,
Right.
right? I mean, you just tap the thing and it just opens it for you. So yeah,
I mean, Tesla, I mean, Elon Musk also owns Neuralink, right? So at some point, you will have to just think that I want to open the trunk of the car, and the trunk will open, and you will also, you will have to see like uh, at which height I can open, and then everything will be done by just thinking. Maybe we don't know.
like when we open it,
Yeah,
right? We just open it to a point where okay, this is the place we are going to put it, right? That is it.
yeah,
But with Tesla, it's like you can program it, and this is opens to that particular point. It's like
yes,
ludicrous, right? Um,
correct,
I
correct,
mean,
correct,
literally,
correct,
they have
correct.
a mode which says ludicrous, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
have you seen uh, the other video like Jerry everything has made his gasoline car
Yeah,
actually.
he's making his own. Yeah, he's converting that Humvee
Yeah,
into
Humvee. Yeah.
electric Humvee, right? Yeah,
I mean,
that is pretty interesting. I'm following that series with full attention, right? Because
seriously.
that is
I
really
mean,
interesting.
how can a guy be that talented, right? He repairs phones. He
Yeah,
can
you
literally
need to
work on cars, right?
exactly. I mean, you need to have knowledge of mechanical, electrical, electronics. Maybe at this point, not that, but uh, fluid dynamics and those things. But that is not required as now.
Maybe a little bit
But
of
these
computer
three
science
things are
because to connect
definitely
these
needed.
buses and those kind of things, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you might want to see the error
right,
codes.
right,
You
right.
you need a little bit of computer science.
So at least four different streams of engineering combined can make this thing, right?
Yeah,
So
except you can say civil and
most
those kind
probably
of
he'll be
things, right?
having some.
Civil
Yeah,
and those kind
yeah,
of things, just except those, I think all the other engineering field is needed, right? I mean, except
correct.
chemistry and
The
physics,
thing is that
chemical engineering
yeah,
and
even like chemistry was required if he had to build the batteries, but yeah, he didn't
yeah,
have
he
that.
literally stole, I guess, Tesla's battery, right?
Yeah, I mean more than 9 or 6 or something. Yeah, I forgot the numbers, right? But yeah,
Yeah, the main
that
problem I
motor,
have
right?
with
That's
his
that's
build is
having.
basically it is too, heavy, right? I mean, the
But
car is
yeah,
too
the thing
heavy.
is that see that the thing is that machine will be not at all efficient, right? One thing is that.
Absolutely.
Second thing is that it's having lots of batteries, right?
Yes.
And third thing is that the engine, right? The motor itself is having lots of torque,
Absolutely.
lots of power. So yeah, that motor will
He
outrange the
literally
Humvee
had
for sure.
to,
But
do a torque reduction. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I think he literally did a torque reduction mechanism, right? He had to connect that. The torque
yes,
was too much.
yes,
It will
yes,
literally rip off you know, the connections to the wheel, right?
right,
Um,
right.
the main concern
Absolutely,
for me is really the air drag. It is not really designed to be pretty much aerodynamic. Like the electric cars, one thing in
exactly,
common with every electric car is that they are all aerodynamic.
absolutely correct.
Yeah, like I mean, maybe like he has to tow his car and let's see, right? I mean, Humvee, right? He has to tow the Humvee and
Yeah,
maybe it gives 98% efficiency like Tesla. Right? Tesla, if you tow the Tesla
yeah, yeah.
one round, right? If you tow the Tesla one round across you can say a track, right? Running track. If you tow, then you can run. I mean, the car can run two times, right?
Oh
Because
man.
it is that efficient, right?
Okay,
Like you can
I
say
see, I
the
see.
energy conversion is around 98% to battery. So
Oh
that
man.
that efficiency, right? Maybe he also
That means if
inherited that, right?
you,
With the new build.
yeah. I mean, he did, right? The thing is that it's having regenerative braking. So, in theory, if he climbs up the hill with that Humvee, and if he climbs down, he should have at least 50% of the energy
Back.
which he lost back in the battery. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is the reason, like, he is going with AC motor, right?
absolutely. I mean, like it can be also done with DC motor, but like it's harder.
Yeah, yeah. Then it is
It's
harder,
like
right?
it's not a really AC, right? It's like a three-phase motor, you can say. YUV, right?
Okay.
That is not YUV, like
Yeah.
YBR, yeah, YBR, right? Three
Mm-hmm.
phases, yellow, blue, red.
Right,
I
right.
mean, you get the yellow, blue, red into the motor, and in the motor, it literally corresponds to coils, right? In 120-degree phase. And what happens is it kind of
Yeah,
rotates because
yeah.
it's an asynchronous motor, right? And it has that what do you call it, like Hall effect sensors to kind of sell the speed, right? It's just asynchronous, so
Yes.
you kind of rotate the magnetic field around. That doesn't really mean that the motor rotates at the particular frequency. So you just use like the Hall effect sensors to know actual motor frequency. What is it rotating at? And kind of tweak the like the
Okay.
rotation of the magnetic field. Right? It is basically an induction motor, right? Like brushless
Yeah,
brushless
yeah, yeah,
DC motors
absolutely.
are inductions, right?
Hmm.
PLDCs. And I think those are
Like,
BLDCs, right? The ones in Teslas and all.
yeah,
They are
yeah.
all BLDCs. So those are all
Yes.
DC motors, right? It's a three-phase DC motors. Really. Just needs three signals, which is 120-degree out of phase with each other to rotate. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
it is
I
fun,
think it
right?
will take at least 2 episodes for him to finish the whole
I
car
think he has
because
already finished
next episode, yeah, yeah, he's just like he's like publishing in
out of order.
in some manner. Yeah, yeah, right.
I think like we need people like him, right? There are a lot of people like
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Steve Mold, these
right.
really amazing engineers, right? And
The thing is that he started the channel with something, right? That is, just breaking the phones, and that man is building this thing. That is very interesting.
I mean like breaking the phones in a scientific manner, not like tech racks. Tech racks, right?
Oh yeah, that man.
That is like there is no point in his video. It's just distraction, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah, yeah.
pure distraction. There is
Right.
nothing to be got from the video. At least,
Exactly. You cannot get any information from that video.
absolutely,
Any comparative information, at least.
seriously, yeah. With generic everything, it's like pretty scientific, right? You have the
Yeah.
more scale,
Every time it's the same scale, right? Uh, scratches at level 6, deeper grooves at level 7.
pretty
So
much tempered less, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And his bend test is also on par because like there are a lot of times when you sit on top of phones, right? You have the phones lying on top of sofas and those kind
Yeah,
of
right,
things, and you just accidentally sit on top of it. So if it passes his bend
right.
test, you can be 100% sure if it sits on top of the phone, it will be probably all right, right? I mean, so
I mean, I have seen some people, right, who just wait for the bend test of new iPhone, which was released. Because the thing is that iPhone is a huge investment. So people like just wait for his bend test to complete, and then after seeing that bend test, they buy the iPhone,
I
even if
mean,
they wanted to
Apple
buy.
is the one who introduced flexible phones, right? So yeah, I
Oh
mean, the
man,
first
Apple is
folding
the one
phone
company
was,
who
like the first folding phone in the market was iPhone 6s, right? I mean,
iPhone 6, right? Yeah,
6s,
6s, yeah.
yeah.
The thing is that Apple is a company which introduces more bad things than the good things, right, in the market, and everyone follows that thing.
Absolutely. I mean, they have done pretty good things at best. You know,
Yeah,
it's like it's pointless, right? You have these glued shut laptops now. You have glued shut phones. You have
and also glued shut
ear,
architecture so
yeah,
that
earphones which
Linux
look
can.
like wires have been cut off from them.
Oh man,
They
yeah,
have you
the,
have the
that
pretty
was shit.
useless Siri, right? In AirPods Max,
Oh man, yeah,
HomePod Max, right? HomePod Max, and pretty much useless Siri because Siri can't do anything in that speaker, right? Pretty much is useless.
yep, 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 absolutely.
Apple does a lot of dumb things, and like people
Correct.
just follow them. It's just that Apple
Yeah,
does it, everyone does it. It's like
absolutely. Yeah, so I guess like talking about Apple brings up the third topic. Third topic is like Tesla, right? Now we talked two good things about Tesla. Let's talk one bad thing. So this was a report from USA coming out, I guess, 1 month back. What was happening was the people who kind of salvaged their Tesla or maybe refurbished their Tesla, they were not able to supercharge from from the network that Tesla has, right? So, I mean, you all understand the importance of this supercharge network. Like when your battery is running out, you have just 1 mile of range or maybe 1 kilometer of range, and your home is like 10 kilometers away, but your supercharger is like 0.5 kilometers away. So obviously, the best way is to go there and charge. Otherwise, I mean, you cannot even reach your home. The, the thing is that uh, after having these reports, Tesla again enabled the thing, right? So and now Tesla got feared that if more people will get to know the Tesla's that thing will drop, stocks will drop and those things. But the thing is that
So this actually happened
yeah,
a way long back, I think. First
right,
there was a woman who actually modes the car, right? Like she literally made a Tesla Model S or something,
oh yeah,
a
yeah,
truck
right,
basically.
yes. I guess he got featured in MKBHD's video also, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah. She is like, pretty amazing, right?
Yep.
And she basically did that, and she literally lost the supercharging, right? And
Yeah,
that is when the whole thing started. Like, I mean, yeah, what the hell is Tesla doing, right?
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
The major
I
thing is
mean,
like you know, it's just that no people are not really doing that much hacking as well. Like
right,
these
right.
old features, if they disable it, it can be enabled back. Like, it's a matter of time
Yeah,
before
it's the
people
software,
figure
right?
out
Yep,
how
yep.
to kind of replicate the original hardware, right? Like make Tesla believe this is a original hardware even though it's a third party.
Yeah.
And like how expensive Tesla repairs are.
Oh man. Oh man.
Those are like a
Absolutely, yes.
rip-off, right? And one major thing is that the Tesla repairs also take a lot of time compared to other cars. They literally
Yeah,
book the
because
part, then comes, part comes, then just to replace the part, and all this time your car has to sit in, whichever service center you
I
have
mean,
put
it
it, right?
takes around 1 to 2 months at least, right, for a small repair. If it is a huge repair, then it will take around 6 months around. So,
Just like
yeah,
pretty much you can say if someone has a broken car and they just want the car to be, pretty much fixed, right? Immediately fixed.
yeah,
Then there is no option, right? I
yeah.
think there
Unless
is
you
one
are,
option, obviously, buy a new car.
yeah, I mean, unless you are MKBHD, Elon will like come to your home and deliver a new Tesla, right? Otherwise, there is no option.
I mean, for MKBHD is like, oh man, Tesla is down. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
like he will literally call his wife and be like, okay, can you bring the new? I mean, does he have a wife? Okay, anyway, someone, right? Someone, and he literally says, okay, bring the next Tesla, right? He has more than one Tesla, right?
yeah, yeah. Elon, like that Tesla, the new Tesla, which is like just coming out of the production line. I bought that in my house.
It's like, yeah. Hey Elon, like that new Teslas you're like posting about. Yeah, I want that.
Yeah. Otherwise, next or autofocus of episode is just around the line. You don't want your new Tesla to look bad in that.
Tesla, I mean, Tesla is pretty much, you can say, following Apple, right? Apple suit. It's like
Absolutely.
Apple has disabled, you can say, a lot of things. That
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
ambient
Hmm. Hmm.
display. If you replace the screen, right? Does it ring a bell, right? I mean, disabling superchargers is pretty much the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
And like a lot of things Apple does, right? Even they have disabled, you can say, LG screens, like like the app MacBooks use LG screens, right? Like screens from LG, and there's like two types of screens, right? One is the original screen, the other one
Yeah.
is the same model but not really marketed for MacBook, because it is I mean, it's a generic off the shelf part, right? It's not blessed by Tim Cook. That's the thing, right? So if
Exactly.
you put something which is not blessed by Tim Cook, it works until the next software update. When the next software update comes, the display never works. I mean,
Yep.
just blank.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Even though the display is completely functional and like it's just of pristine quality, right? It is same quality as what Apple put in
Yes.
the device. Uh,
I mean, it looks functional to us, right? To In the eyes of Tim Cook, it is like absolutely not function.
yeah, in the eyes of Tim Cook, it's like you can say we are putting some kind of Chinese parts inside, not
Yeah,
really
it's a
a
hazard.
genuine replacement.
They talk. Yeah, yeah,
Tim Cook is like in this is all matter of security, right? I mean, Now they are literally sending your data to cloud, right? I mean, not really to cloud, from cloud to whichever place you want, right? I mean, they want. So like the Apple whole thing about uh, nothing, right? Like Apple is literally sending your data, right? If they see this
Yes, yes,
kind
yes.
of uh, yeah, you get the point. We discussed in the last podcast, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, like all these things kind of add up to a point where Apple is not no longer of privacy, and they never have been. It's just that they've had the best strategy, that is talking about privacy, right? And I think
Exactly.
some
It's
business decision came in, right? Like the privacy, you know what, privacy is no longer a thing anymore. Like like
yeah, yeah.
someone in the marketing team just said to Tim Cook, and
Hmm.
Tim Cook was like, "Oh yeah,
Oh man.
let's throw them over, right? Perfect. I have
I
been
mean,
waiting
like
for
one more
this
thing,
like
right?
ever, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is what Tim Cook
Uh,
will be saying. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just one more thing about Apple. So, as we are like just bashing these companies, this is one new topic, right? Literally, it's just burning hot new topic. So, these AirTags, airports, even iPads can be custom craved by Apple,
Oh,
custom engraved by. If you will tell Apple that I want Abhiram Shibu to be written on my iPad, which won't happen in the whole life because I know you you will not buy. But anyways, if you are buying and if you tell Apple that I want my name on the iPad, right? So what they will do is absolutely they will like engrave the Abhiram Shibu on the back and then they will give it to you. So it's like you can put anything, right? Abhiram Shibu, maybe Destroyer, or maybe something else. Now the point is that in China, these words are not allowed. The first word is politics. That word, if you will put in the website that I want politics on my iPad, it won't allow. If you will say democracy, it won't allow. If you will say human rights, right? I mean, this is real news, right? If you will say human rights on my iPad, they won't allow it. And the last one, there was a riot from, I guess, Hong Kong maybe, on some date, right? So if you shorten that date, I guess take the day, take the month, and take the year. So it is like four numbers, right? If you will say that I want these four numbers on my bag, that those four numbers are not allowed. What the hell? You see,
I
you
mean,
see the thing.
it should be Apple complying with the Chinese uh,
I mean, at this point,
thing, right?
Apple is like literally. I mean, Apple has already given the key, right, to the whole server
Like they
room.
are literally in bed with the Chinese government at this point. Yeah.
That is true. That is 110% true.
Chinese government is like, yeah, like okay, yeah, what, like Apple, like, oh yeah, it's like your brothers, right? Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Like in Arrow there is like a thing called Bratva, right? So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
maybe you can say like they are all brothers, like in Bratva, right? Yeah, Chinese
Yeah,
government does something for Apple, and Apple does something for Chinese government. Like like in China,
I see.
the
I
most of
see.
the phones are iPhones, right?
Abhiram, just your voice is not there,
Majority
right?
majority of the phones are iPhones, right? In China.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
So yeah, that is one thing to digest on, right? Like
I see. I see. Right, that is correct.
that is something peculiar, because China makes all these MIs and all those things, but majority of people use iPhone. Like, seriously, I mean, doesn't it feel weird to you? Like some kind of a pressure is there from the government or something to push iPhones in the market or something like that.
Yeah. The thing is that that the whole man, right? the uh, the uh, the most powerful man, I guess. I mean, not the most powerful in the sense of politics, but the most wealthiest man, the founder of Alibaba, right? the whole man was like missing for maybe 6 months, right? So
Absolutely.
you can assume like that anything can happen in China.
I mean, at this point, Afghanistan is kind of gone ski, right? So anything
Oh
can
man,
happen anywhere at this point.
yeah. I mean, the thing is that Afghanistan, we all do know, right, that this is what is happening. In China, like it's like that cold shadow thing which is going on. And people doesn't know the reality, and that thing, that is very weird.
Like Chinese people are, I think, they are behind. You can see they are behind a curtain, right? That is it. Like they are pretty much, not
Yes.
allowed to do anything which is against government, nothing, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I
those
mean,
people are really brilliant, right? I mean, normally, right? I mean, those people are
though,
really
yeah. I
brilliant.
mean, absolutely. Yes.
They literally are really productive, and like they are amazing people. Just that the government is
Yeah. Yeah.
shit, right? There is nothing other than
I
that
mean,
to put.
Chinese government is removing the Western education, right, from their education system. Like they will only
Oh,
talk about Jinping and those things. So yeah, now like people from junior KG, senior KG, nursery will be taught only about China and its greatness. Nothing out of the China will be like taught to them. So now it's like the situation of the frog in the well, right? So that
I
frog
mean,
cannot see anything
it doesn't even
outside.
mean
So
that this history is correct, right? I mean, whatever they see as the history might be taught.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, now it will be a very interesting research topic to see how those people think after maybe 10, 20 years after they graduate, right? What is their thought process about the outside world? Like,
Like I
maybe in
think
50 years,
what the
yeah,
government did is they kind of engineered the solution, right? They have thought, okay, how can we,
yeah,
make, install an operating system in newborns, right? Which kind of is positive
exactly,
towards the government, right?
exactly,
So yeah, just feed in all the good stuff, and the bad stuff make it a
right,
little bit, pivoted towards the good stuff, right? Just pivot it a little bit and make it good, right? Even if it's bad.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, the Chinese, uh, I mean, the education system and all is pretty much, very efficient, but it is pretty much, you
yes,
can say,
yes,
torturous at China, right?
yeah,
To study, like those grades are literally like people like uh,
oh,
say grades to their parents, and parents will be really mad, and they have those mind reading stuff, right? I
yeah,
mean, the thing to check if the
yeah,
student is attending the lectures or dropping off. These are like students we are talking about is like a LKG UKG students, right? Not really like a grown
exactly,
ups,
yeah,
right? So like they are literally, I mean, the period of those children are to literally play and just learn. I mean, naturally, right? Not like on books as of now, right? I mean, it's just take step by step, but they just want to get ahead of themselves. That is, raise people who are literally so intelligent, right? They want everyone to be so intelligent that they are not caring that much about the consequence of lost childhood and those kind of things, really. And no
yes,
one is really questioning that, because like no one questions, right? If they question, like it's like they just disappear, right? That is all that happens.
true, true,
So
true,
yeah, I mean, like we shouldn't talk that much
mm.
about politics, because it's like you
Yeah,
can say uh, politics is pretty much partial, right? I mean, even us have some kind of a bias towards it, because we'll be getting some news, we won't be getting some different news. So you can say in China there will be a news, there will be in USA there will be news about China, in India there will be news. If we want to literally talk about in neutral way, we have to read every news in every place and literally find out what is common in between all of them to find the real truth. What is being just put there to just cheer, right? I mean, you can say like news agencies, they just want people to be just cheered, right? That is, uh, they want people to read the headlines and just keep on reading the data, right? So for that, what they do is they do a little bit of twist. You can say read bait or something like that. maybe like a
Right.
different version of clickbait, right? So what they do is they don't literally say the news wrong, but they pivot the news in such a way that it will be more interesting towards Indian viewers. I mean Indian readers, right? It might actually kind of be at a cost where you won't actually get the actual perspective of the news, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So like that, a lot of things from China, right? We have a lot of, you can say, different perspective, and some of them might be wrong, and so like some of them might be right. Um, the only problem
Yes.
is we don't know which one is right and wrong, right? And one last thing is like the government, all these things are literally controlling everyone, right? There's a whole idea. If you want a real government, the government has to
Hmm.
be impartial to anything, right?
Right.
And for that, there should not be government. That is a problem. Like for a government to exist, the government should be partial. That you get the idea, right? That is because we are electing the people. People have their partiality. They are not really, you know, neutral, right? So only way is to make a AI system or something which literally acts as a government, which is neutral.
Okay. Okay.
At that particular point, like cyber attacks can happen and literally whole thing can crash. But the thing is,
Yeah.
if that is avoided, that possibility is no longer existing, right? I mean, in a world where hacking was not even invented, right? Then yeah, this will be the perfect way.
Yes. True.
But I mean, let's skip politics for
Okay. Okay. So I guess let's wind up that topic by that time. Uh,
perfect.
the second topic, I mean, next topic is about Ola's electric scooter, right? So, I mean, that scooter, I was hearing from, I guess, many months, but now they have revealed it. So, the whole thing is really interesting. Uh, it's having the highest torque in the industry. It's having the highest range. It's having best in class design. It looks really good. And it's also like priced very well, right? So let's see the specs of the scooter.
Sure.
So it's going to the second screen. All right. So the thing is that they have released two models. One is Ola S1 and one is Ola S1 Pro, right? So basically, the base model costs around 86,000,
So that is like
85,100
around
sorry.
$1,000, right?
Yeah, yeah, almost around. Yeah, more than a little, but
More
yeah,
than
around
thousand
1,000. Yeah.
US dollars.
And second one costs around 1.10 lakh. That is 1,10,000. So I mean that is pretty good. The thing is that these prices, right? They
Yeah.
are they are I mean every state offers some kind of subsidy on the electric vehicles. So if you buy that 85,000 vehicle in Gujarat, right? In my state, it will cost around 77,000. So I mean there you
Yeah.
go.
So
The second
for
one,
the
yeah.
international viewers, right? Lakhs is basically 10 raised to 5. So that is like
Oh yeah,
one
yeah,
one
correct.
110,000, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So basically, every 10
110,000.
lakh is 1 million.
Yes, exactly. So yeah.
Right. Right. And these are all Indian rupees, just saying. Okay. So as you can see, guys, the both the motors are having same power, absolutely same power. 8500 watts, right? But the range actually varies because the battery size itself is
I'm
different.
pretty sure that is not a RMS power. It's a peak power, I think.
Yeah, I think
Like that is like
it's a bit power.
8.5 kilowatts. I think it will literally take you to moon, right?
Correct.
That is
Correct.
pretty
Correct.
much
Absolutely
a
correct.
lot of power for a scooter, right?
Yes. Yes.
There is like
Uh,
I mean induction cookers only takes like two kilowatts.
correct. Yeah. I mean, you guys can see that the costlier one is having higher, I would say, acceleration because
See,
it takes around
like
3 seconds.
115 miles per hour in three
Yeah.
seconds. Seriously,
Uh, no, 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 no.
is
No,
it
no. I
acceleration?
mean, no, no. Yeah. See, so 115 is like the top speed, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's one row. So
Okay, 0 to
the
14, 0 to 14, 3 seconds. Yeah,
exactly,
got it.
yeah.
I mean,
So
that is
basically,
pretty, like you can
insane.
say, insane.
Yes. Do you
0 to
think like
50 in
your
5 seconds. That is really, really, you know,
that is
really
amazing, right?
amazing.
And the top speed is also pretty good. I mean, you will never go above 90 if you just want. If you
Oh,
just
this
don't
is
care about your
kmph. Okay,
life,
kilometer per hour. Oh man.
yeah.
Okay,
I
this is
mean,
above
90
the
is
speed
nothing.
limit. Okay.
Yeah, that is already above the speed limit. So I mean,
Yeah,
the
I
thing
think
is that
91 is perfectly same as speed limit, right?
absolutely,
90 is,
absolutely,
I think, the speed limit of India, like, on highways.
yes, yes. Otherwise, there is like two new features in Pro model, right? I mean, two exclusive Pro features. One is cruise control. So
Oh,
this thing literally has cruise control. Yeah, that is
mine
interesting,
also
right?
has it, right? Mine scooter.
Oh man, oh man. Okay, that is
That is
interesting.
amazing. That is really amazing, right? I mean, the funniest
Yeah.
thing is mine, like, the older one has, right? Older electric scooter has, not the newer one.
Okay.
So it is
Okay.
somehow
Okay.
removed, like after.
Wow. Right. Right.
But
Right.
you
Right.
get the idea, right? That is cruise
Yes.
control is like, literally amazing, right? You can just,
Yeah.
set some speed and you just keeps on
Yes.
going, right? That particular speed.
Correct.
Yeah.
One more thing, right? Um, both these scooter will support an app. So basically, if me and Abhiram both are sharing same scooter, right? So what will happen is we will create our own profiles. So whenever we want to ride, whenever I want to ride a scooter, I will set my profile, and then everything will be set as per my profile. Like the thing is that the profile will include these things. One is both the scooters have different modes, like uh, the low mode, medium mode, hyper mode. So in which mode I want to drive, that will be saved. But another thing is like the scooter does have a speaker. So basically, you all know like electric scooter is having zero sound. So if you want the sound, you can basically go and select some kind of sound, right? Which basically sound like a electric. That petrol
You know what I
petrol
will be putting it, like, the
scooter.
sound?
Rickroll?
Like, you remember the sound from Ant-Man, right? Ant-Man, that
Oh
that
man,
van,
yeah,
right?
yes.
I'll be literally putting it in loop, like, as a
I mean, in
as a motor
theory,
sound.
you can also put Rickroll, right? That is possible.
Oh
You
yeah,
can,
yeah, Rickroll, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is possible. Yeah.
whenever we just accelerate, the Rickroll fastens up, right?
Whenever the regenerative braking is happening, it will like slow down. Oh man,
Yeah, right.
yeah, that is
I mean,
interesting.
this will be pretty insane idea. Like, if you just put
Yes,
Rickroll and you just give the scooter
that's
difference,
right.
and they just start it, and the Rickroll starts playing, like,
Oh
just
man,
accelerate,
yeah,
and it keeps on playing it, right?
yeah. It will like adjust the pitch and speed of the song depending on the acceleration. That will be pretty much interesting to see.
Our age-old singer is
Yeah,
back, right?
absolutely.
So yeah,
The top. That I
yeah,
mean,
like,
not DOG, right? DAWWG, the dog.
we need that noise cancellation speakers, right? Like we talked about in episode 7 or something.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. So like that is pretty interesting. Okay, so I mean the thing is that electric vehicles will be the future. We all know, but India needs scooters as of now. The thing is, there are two major concerns. One is metro cities do have a lot of traffic. So if you live in Bangalore, Ahmedabad, or maybe Mumbai or those cities, buying a car and driving a car is a headache in terms of maintenance plus in terms of little traffic. If you have a scooter, you can just navigate through anything and anytime. The thing is that it is not that safe, but it's faster. So it was the need of time, and India basically needed it. And Ola is basically providing the best in class scooter. It's not like just any scooter. specs are like
They are like Teslas
exceeding.
of India, right?
Exactly, right. The range, right? You saw the range. I mean, the range was pretty good, right? It was. Let me see, just a moment. Uh,
I think you should
okay,
share the
so
screen. I
yeah,
will. I will do it.
yeah,
I'll do it.
absolutely. No, I can do it. Yeah, I did. So the higher model is having 181 kilometer per charge. 181,
Perfect.
right?
Perfect.
That
I
is
mean,
amazing.
that is like I can just go from here to
Yeah,
my mother's place and come back, then go again and come back. Right? That is,
that is next to it.
and for
And
that, literally,
generally, like
we kind of pay, I guess, 1,000 rupees of
oh
gasoline,
man,
I guess, right? Petrol, right?
oh man. Okay,
Thousand
okay,
rupees. So this is not even 1,000 rupees of, you know,
interesting.
electricity we are putting in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And
This is pretty good.
one more thing is like in India actually, electric vehicles are basically excluded from the road taxes. So that is one interesting thing. So if you are like going from one to another place, and there is a that toll coming in the way, you can basically skip it because government has allowed electric vehicle to
Right,
be
right.
to not to be charged. So yeah, that's also one thing. Yeah, I mean, so even if you are solar, then you can literally run scooter free of cost, right? As the
I mean, it's
price
like
of petrol is rising,
3.4
yeah,
kilowatts, right? So
yes, yes,
you can at least charge it half with a decent
yeah,
solar system. Like,
yeah. And the thing is that if you are working, right, your workplace won't be more than I guess 10 kilometers away from you, or maybe 15 kilometers. So
yeah, and
that
I think
much you can charge
just the
easily.
10%, 20% charge is already enough to
Exactly,
just
exactly.
cover
So you
that
can
place.
basically avoid the high prices of petrol. Like, nowadays it is going above 100 in some states. So that is pretty much high. Yeah.
So that is like around $1.2.
Oh man, that is pretty high.
Right. So I mean,
All
like
right.
gasoline
Yeah.
prices are like literally. You can say like gasoline is the past, right? So electricity
Yes.
can be generated anywhere, anytime, with any
Hmm.
mode, right? Anything with energy can be converted to electricity. That is a whole thing, right? Can you convert something to gasoline? Of course not, right?
Of course not. Yeah.
So gasoline is a one way out. So electricity is not a one way out. You can generate electricity very
Correct.
easily.
The major point is like this thing is very efficient, right? And the second major point is it can regenerate the electricity. If you're breaking the thing, you are at least getting 60% of the momentum which you have wasted back to your
IT
battery.
cars, right? They have only like 23 to 30% efficiency, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they
That
only
is
have that much.
very, yeah, yeah. That is pretty damn bad.
So in theory, if you even make a you know thermoelectric plant, right? That is, you
Right.
just take the gasoline, burn it, boil, make electricity. I think that should be pretty much uh, more
Yeah,
efficient than if you put in electric scooter, right? That should be more efficient than even an internal
absolutely.
combustion engine, like, seriously. So
That is true.
I mean, OLA is like OLA has been in my radar and also my friend's radar for a long time. He was like literally flipping after this thing came up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
He literally wants to buy this. So yeah, I mean,
right,
for me
right.
personally, the 1 lakh is a little bit high priced, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
If they
still
could
higher
half the
than
battery,
the
right? I mean, like
exactly.
I could have bought it because the battery is the one which costs
Yeah,
like a hell, right?
yeah,
So
right.
I don't need to get like 110, 180 or something range, right? Maybe like a 50 range is okay for me. I don't go too far, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. With time, the thing is that the technology will evolve, then the price will go down.
Absolutely.
So, uh, I guess in 5 years, we both will have electric vehicle, most probably.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I have adopted electric scooter from the day one, right? I mean, even
Yeah.
when no one had electric scooters.
Right, right,
Like
right.
my first electric scooter was a BSA electric scooter. It was like pretty shit, right? I mean, like
Oh man.
the
Yeah, at
the, the
that time,
shittiest
right?
of the.
We were talking about, I guess, 5, 6 years back, right?
Absolutely, I mean, like more than that actually. Like
Okay, okay.
maybe
Yeah.
8, 9 years, like
Oh man,
BSA.
that's a decade ago. So that is like, at that time, considering this time, that must be a shit technology. But at that time, it should
Absolutely.
be a good one, right?
The funniest thing is you are like you are like riding your scooter, right? And
Yeah.
a kind of a hill comes. So hill can have two effects. That is, one way is you climb the
Okay.
hill, one way is you go down the hill, right? If you're going down the hill,
Yeah.
is pretty fine, like it just goes down, right? If you go up the hill, you better start pushing the scooter from behind because it doesn't do it itself, right? If you're having two people, you're toast, like 100% toast.
Then one people will have to,
It won't even traverse a
step out
bump,
of the car.
right? I mean, like that is a
Right.
bump will be like a full stop, what, like literally hitting the bump and like stopping,
Oh
right?
man. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, those days were like pretty. The motors looked like literally
Yes.
slim, right? Compared to the motors we have. The motors actually in my scooters are a little bit bigger than what actually the BSA had, right? It's like
Okay. Okay.
so. Yeah, I mean, maybe they just overestimated, right? They were like, okay, yeah, this
Yeah.
this motor will do it, right? And that had the needle, right? The needle kind of
Hmm.
power. It says power, right? It's a full
Yeah.
charge, it's like full, right? And whenever you just like uh, you put full acceleration, just like down zero, right?
Oh man.
So it's just like up down, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, like the gauge itself is pretty terrible. You don't want to
Correct.
gauge by the open circuit voltage. You want to like gauge by how much power the battery outputted, rather than
Yeah.
the open
Correct.
circuit voltage. And that is pretty terrible. If they're using open circuit
That is pretty
voltage, then you
terrible.
should kind of also think about how much load the battery is in. Maybe also think about the current, right, drawn from the battery.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those were pretty terrible times, right?
Yep.
Nowadays
Yep. Yep. Yep.
even my scooter is pretty good, right? They are like
Right.
working fine now. Like it has been like 4 or 5 years for the old scooter, and the new scooter has been like 2 3 years. So it is still working, right? Those two things are working.
Okay.
Okay,
So I guess, with that we can conclude that topic, right?
absolutely.
And the next topic is about Asahi Linux. Basically, this Linux is based on Arch Linux, as Abhiram Shibu told me. So the thing is that we all know like Arch Linux is the best in class, right? Now the point is that this Linux is made for Apple M1 chips, especially made for it. The thing is that uh, Linux cannot generally Linux can generally run on any hardware if it has proper drivers. But in this case, it didn't have drivers because literally the architecture itself is, it's not open, right, to us. So uh, these guys are like trying their best to make this Arch Linux work in the M1. They are naming it SI Linux. So what they had to do is, you all know this thing, right? No NOEVAU, the free version of, I mean, open source version of NVIDIA uh, graphics
Drivers.
graphics card, right? Yeah. So basically, in that case, what developers did was they didn't see the code; they just saw the logs of the hardware access. And based on that, they made up the free version of the NVIDIA driver, which is not actually good. I mean, there's always 50% of the percentage drop anytime. But in the case of M1, it is not possible because Linux itself cannot run
Absolutely.
on the hardware, right? So they have to basically design in hypervisor. So as you can see, and I'll just share the screen, right? Yeah. So in the screen you can see, like, basically they have to reverse engineer lots of things, right? So there you go. I mean, just all right. So what they're trying to say is, so they decided to go one level deeper and build a hypervisor that can run the entirety of macOS unmodified in a VM that transparently presents uh, it the real M1 hardware. So basically, uh, yeah. So I mean, what they're trying to do is they're they're expecting macOS to access that hardware in the hypervisor, and then just just analyzing that thing and reverse engineering the thing and building the Linux drivers. That's what I understand. Yeah. So I guess, Abhiram, you can go deeper in
So
this thing.
yeah, so whenever you talk about a computer, right, the computer has an
Yeah.
architecture, right, computer architecture.
Yeah.
And the computer architecture, there are two types of architectures. That is, one is ISA, that is instruction set architecture. Then the other one is, the normal architecture, right? How the how the CPU is really, made, right? So instruction set architecture is something like, you can say what are the instruction sets available for that particular CPU, right? So this is pretty simple. You have a compiler for a particular, a compiler for a particular uh, architecture. Then you can just compile the software to, whatever you can say machine code that the particular machine uses, right? It's pretty straightforward. But the main problem, whenever we talk about operating system, is that operating system just doesn't need, the basic things. It needs a more of a hardware control and all those things. They need to have that, that kernel. There is like kernel mode, user space, kernel space, all these things, right? So for all these, there are like literally, hidden instructions. You're not really hidden, like it's just not available for normal compilers to work on it, right? You have to, I mean, GCC and all can compile, but you have to give the flags, like, to compile with those particular things. And what happens is, it works, right? uh, so what I'm speculating is that what they had a pretty bad time to get the thing booted. That is, to get the chip to load the kernel, then boot into the RAM disk, right? That is the,
Yes.
I think, the hardest part. And the second part is, the problem with the display drivers, because the main problem is that the chip is an SoC, not really a microprocessor anymore. It's an SoC, really, right? I mean, it's a total system on chip. Like graphics card is in the chip, memory is on top of the chip. You know, literally everything is in chip, right? So at that particular integration point, you literally have to be so specific, right? The graphics cards, right? Graphics cards will all have a a generic interface, right? Through which you can pump the signal out, even if the graphics card driver is not really digital. You can see, like, when you install Windows, it will, like, use the Microsoft Basic Display Adapter, if you remember. And that is basically what I'm talking about. That is, a pipeline through which it can basically pump the signal out, even if it is not really having the advanced graphics functionality. That is, the graphics processor itself is not really working now. CPU is rendering the whole frame buffer and giving to the graphics card and saying, okay, just put it in, right? And to do that, it is pretty much, you can say, any generic driver can do. But for Apple M1, it's pretty different, because for that there is only one graphics card they have to worry about, right? There is nothing, no more graphics cards. So they by default will assume that the driver has to be loaded to basically display anything. That is, there is no generic drivers. You just
Right.
display something, and I think that is one of the other problems they had. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
one last problems are like optimizing the compile, because the compilers are normally, like, when you talk about compilers, it is like when you have GCC is pretty optimal for everything, right? Kernel, everything. but Apple has their own compiler, which is not that optimal for everything. They are really optimal for user applications, but not for kernel level and system level applications. So what really happens is that there are a lot of instructions not being really used. So the performance edge kind of goes away, right? With macOS versus Arch
Yeah,
Linux.
yeah.
So yeah, I think this is what is happening, right? I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that in the future we'll be literally seeing M1 totally run Linux with full graphics support, because there is like a lot of push, right? The like the people who are using them
Absolutely. Yeah.
is pretty
There
much
is a
a
lot of
lot.
community push.
So it's not like the Pine phone case where people doesn't
Oh, man.
really
Yeah.
want it, right? So I think this will work, right? Just a matter of time.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. That is interesting. Okay. So, yeah, I guess with that, we can move to the last topic, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, the last topic is regarding Firefox. And literally, overall, the whole future of internet is is uh,
Let's see.
is in danger, right? So let's see, right? What are the reports saying? So as you can see, what these people are saying is basically from 244 million in the end of 2018, there were like these many users of Firefox at around starting of 2019, right? And this is quarter two of 2021, and there are only 198 million users. So there is almost difference of 50 million users, right? So 15 million is not a small number when you have 244 million users, right? It's almost about, I guess, 12.5%, more than 12.5% of the users going away from Firefox. So this is like, I mean, the thing is that only only one contender. I mean, initially there were like three contenders. I mean, four contenders. One was Internet Explorer. One was Edge, which was the legacy version. One was Chrome. I mean, Chromium-based browsers, and one was Firefox. Now, the Internet Explorer died. Edge basically converted to Chromium. So basically, all these things are like one thing, right? Only Firefox is standing in the queue. So only that thing is basically stopping the internet from being in the hands of a monopoly, in the hands of Google. So I mean, if this thing will like fade away, then you can see there is just only driver. I mean, there is only one company which is controlling the whole
Just a
internet.
correction, right? There
So
is Safari, right?
oh man, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Safari will never die. I guess till Apple is there, it won't die. But still,
If
it has
I'm
very
correct,
less
both
share.
uses WebKit, right? Yeah, I think.
Okay,
Oh. You can search
okay.
what engine does Firefox use, right? Can you search?
Fire Firefox, right?
Yeah, yeah. What engine does
Yeah.
Firefox use?
Engine fire. Oh, did I share the screen? Let me
No,
check.
no, no. We haven't shared this.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm sharing you. Engine Firefox uses. Okay, it is Gecko. What is
Gecko,
Gecko?
I think Gecko is old, right? I think the Quantum is
All
the
right.
newer.
So
Yeah, I think you can
new.
check what is Safari, right?
All right.
I don't think it is Gecko, right?
I mean, I have heard the term Gecko most of the times.
Yeah,
Safari is
okay.
using WebKit.
WebKit. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think Firefox was using WebKit, but I don't know. Like, can you
Let me
search
search
Firefox
in that
WebKit?
sense. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so that means Firefox is kind of pushing WebKit appearance. Other than that, there is nothing, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's still I guess it is still Gecko, right? Most vividly.
Quantum is, I think, the data state. Can you click on quantum? Like
Uh, where?
engines quantum, right? I mean,
Oh, there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, 2017, right? You can see that. Can you click on Gecko
Mm-hmm.
now? Go back, click on Gecko.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1997, right?
Yes.
So yeah, like that's what I'm saying, right? I mean, Gecko is old. Like
Gecko is
it's
pretty
just
much
replaced
the
by Quantum, right? Like the thing is
right.
now the Firefox is called Firefox Quantum, right? Not really,
Okay.
Firefox anymore. So
Right.
yeah. Okay, so the whole thing is, I mean, I am using Firefox. The
Yeah.
the major reason for the decline of Firefox use is basically that most of the web browsers, when you think about it, is Chromium based. Like people are not even thinking, there is another browser called Firefox where they can base
Exactly.
their web browsers on.
Right.
Everyone, if they want to make a privacy oriented web browser, they're like, boom, Chromium, right? I mean, it's like
Yes.
it's like too much, too much frustration, right? In the sense, right? Because if you just,
Yeah.
surrender to Chromium, Google just controls the web now, right?
Yeah. They will like control the appearance, how the websites will look, and those things. So yeah.
The main problem is that, if Google controls the web, then Google can introduce whatever features they want, really.
Exactly.
At this point,
Yeah.
Google is already won, right? The race. That is,
Right.
if Google is going to implement some kind of feature, uh, Mozilla is, supposed to implement it. Otherwise, they are out of the game, right? They
Yes.
can't render the thing.
Correct. 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 Correct.
Personally, I use Firefox, right? Like we are using only
Yeah.
Chromium for the podcast because it's like you can say the scaling feature is not there for Firefox.
Yes.
That way,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. Otherwise, I use Firefox daily for personal use, and it is pretty much you can say functional as much as Chromium is. It's not like MP Bunny and those kind of browsers where
Yeah.
there's a lot of problems with the browser, right? I mean, you don't have a lot of features actually. Every feature which is supported in Chromium, I think, is supported in Firefox also, right? That actually requires a
Right.
lot of, you can say, dedication.
Yeah.
So I hope someone will make actually a browser which is based on Firefox and help the Firefox team succeed, right? Like I think the first thing we should do is uh,
Hmm.
to let people like know that, I mean, Firefox is by default supporting privacy compared to Chromium, which actually, I mean, Chrome and Chromium, right? Both gives, I guess, the data to Google first, then only privacy comes, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of things, right? I mean, the Firefox is like, think about it, like, why is Chromium not used for Tor browser, right? Like, if Tor browser is like, the most secure browser ever, then why not Chromium, right?
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
that gives you an idea of how secure the Firefox is compared to Chromium. And I'm not saying Chromium is not
Yeah.
secure. It's like Chromium by default is not that secure at all. Firefox by default is having so much anti-tracking and lot of features to a point where tracking is nearly impossible.
Correct.
And that is, I guess, the nail in the coffin also, because these old features actually require a little bit more processing to work, and actually it reduces the user experience, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, if you are running Chrome, maybe try Firefox for a change. Maybe
Yeah. At
that
least
will
give it a try, right?
that will
Yeah.
basically like give them the
Yep.
edge, to still exist as an
Yep.
alternative, right? Not really
Yep. Yep.
die off. At this point, they are on life support at this particular point,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, to see them go, they are the ones who built the internet, and to see them go is pretty much like killing the
Yeah.
people who were the legends, right? Like you know that the first browser was called Netscape Navigator, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know
So
that.
that is basically Firefox, right?
Oh man. Okay. Okay.
So even before Internet Explorer came, anything came, Firefox was already there. Like
Oh man.
s-
I see.
you can kind of see, right? I mean, Gecko engine is used in Escape Navigator, right? That is the engine they
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
in 1997, and from there is stick, right? What actually happened is in Escape Navigator, right? Microsoft killed it. Actually, Microsoft basically forcefully killed it, right? What they did was they literally made Netscape Navigator installer doesn't not work in Windows 95, if I'm correct. That is, no one is able to install the Netscape Navigator anymore with Windows,
Oh man.
right? So they were like literally forced to use Internet Explorer, even if they had the choice. Really, it was like a force, right? So what happened is everyone started upgrading to Windows 95, and shares of Netscape Navigator dropped, and to a point where at last they sued the Microsoft, and Microsoft lost a lot of money, right? Gave to Netscape Navigator,
Yep.
but the problem was
Yep.
the damage was too much, to a point where they literally got bankrupt, right? And at that point they
Right.
literally open sourced the whole browser. Until then the browser was completely closed source, right?
Okay. Okay.
So they literally open source the whole browser, and from that the Mozilla Foundation started. That is the open source, and for the people kind of company, right? And that is like a fork of Netscape Navigator getting renamed to Firefox, and that is
Okay.
how all the things started, right? And that is a huge legacy, right? I mean, when you think about it. And Google
Yes.
with the Chrome only won because Google is a really good search engine, and Firefox didn't have a search engine. That is a basic difference between, like, even
Exactly.
Firefox is the one which killed Firefox, because Firefox basically by default uses Google, and whenever you go Google with Firefox, I mean nowadays it doesn't say anything, right? In the old days, it was saying, okay, have you ever tried Google Chrome?
Yeah.
Maybe instead of Google Chrome, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Even not in old, right? Just 2, 3 years back, it was saying that.
yeah. Nowadays they stopped because it's not no longer a threat anymore. They already know Mozilla
Exactly.
people will keep
They
on using
know. They
Mozilla,
know.
because it's like they still show in Edge, right? They still detect
Okay.
Edge and show you know that just switch to
Yeah.
Chrome, right? I mean that is pretty much, you can say, the worst monopoly ever, right? That is able
Exactly.
to just kill the competition just by saying, yeah, yeah, you know what? Like, we also have a browser. Maybe you should try ours, right?
Oh man.
And
I
like
mean,
Google
I
is
know a lot
pretty
of
much, you
people,
can
right?
say, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, this is what people does, right? They see a big blue button saying try, then they will click on
Hmm.
it,
Yeah, and they'll
right?
just use that thing
And the
forever.
moment it opens, the first thing it does is make itself default, right? That is pretty much, you can say, the most
Exactly.
crooked way to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Firefox doesn't even ask you to make it default until it opens the whole web browser. From the installer itself, the Google Chrome makes it default. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is a very aggressive strategy, right? I mean, nowadays they don't
Yeah.
have to do it anymore, but they still do it.
Yeah. And one more interesting thing, right? Uh, I have seen many people who are just annoyed by that thing, right? Have you tried Google Chrome and then switching from Firefox to Chrome? I mean, not Firefox, maybe Edge to Chrome, right? So those are there. I mean, and one more interesting thing. In Windows 11, you cannot switch your default browser from Edge to Chrome.
What?
Yeah, it's like you will have to go to the file types. You will have to select HTML, HTML, PHP, those file types, and you'll have to say that open these file types with Chrome. Then it will open with Chrome. Otherwise, there is no default browser thingy in Windows 11. It's by default Edge.
It's like a silent kill to Chrome, right? I mean, like it's fine though,
Yeah.
right? Like for
I mean,
Google, it's
essentially
a
it is
win-win
Chromium, but
situation
yeah,
because still it is Google Chromium, right?
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, like I'm giving a very good thing to Microsoft though because they literally ripped off all the Google components and replaced with Microsoft components. So in theory,
Yeah.
Google doesn't even profit, like 1% from the Microsoft Edge, right? To a
Right,
point
right,
where
right, right,
it's
right.
like a new browser to like they will literally be a threat, right, to Google, even if.
Yes.
And I think it worked because they kind of had to pull the support for, you can say, Think on Chromium based,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Edge started with Chromium based and everything literally went to Chromium based, and you know
Yeah. I mean, one
people
of the
doesn't want to
features,
use Chrome anymore, right? For a long time.
right? I mean, one of the features, like right, that Edge wasn't supporting was actually Chromium extensions. But now, Edge being Chromium, it can support every extension which Chrome does. So essentially, I
Essentially,
mean,
it
there
is
is
superior to Chrome. It can use
exactly,
Microsoft extensions as well as Chrome extensions.
absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, like you read aloud and those kind of features are not there in Chrome, right?
Yeah, it is not that, right?
By just a feature set, I think Edge is superior compared to uh, Chrome. I know that this will trigger a
Yeah,
lot of people, right? I mean, saying Edge is superior to Chrome, but the actual fact is it is just better because it's just based on Google Chrome itself, right? It can only be better.
exactly,
That is like the base itself is built on Chrome, and whatever Microsoft did
absolutely.
on top of it is basically optimizations, and that can only be better, right? That can lead to, I mean, unless
Yep.
Microsoft is literally like in drugs or something. I mean,
I mean,
they
to
can't
this
mess it
point,
up,
like,
right?
yeah, I mean, at this point, I think this will happen in the coming decade. Like, what will happen is right now, Chrome and Chromium are very nearby to each other, right? Both of them having similar features. But as the time will progress, Chromium will have some features, and Chrome will have very much advanced features, which Chromium won't have. So now the thing is that Edge won't be having those features in their Edge because it's based on Chromium, not Chrome. So yeah, this is how maybe Google will take over the Edge again. Maybe not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm also not sure really like what will happen. But one thing I'm sure, right, 100%, that is, Google is going to react. Right? Google is going
Yes,
to
yes, it is
react, and
already
it is going to be really,
reacting, right?
really, like, bad, right? When they react, like, they're
Yeah, I
going to
mean
be
we have
really brutal.
stopped syncing in Chromium and those things. They are already reacting.
So, yeah, I mean, one thing is that we can support Firefox and maybe like keep them around so that Google at least has
Exactly.
some threat to it, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. At least maintain the user base. Not I'm not saying not don't increase. I mean I'm saying don't at least decrease it. At least maintain the user base.
the main problem with
Otherwise,
Firefox is like they did so many things which are not really good, right? Like they
yeah, I mean
partnered with some things, and if I remember
yes,
correctly, like there were a lot of speculations and things like that going on with Firefox. People were even saying like
yeah,
Firefox is going with Google, that is supporting Google just because they were on live support.
right,
They
right,
wanted,
right.
they really wanted Google's money, right, to survive. I mean, the thing is that is existential crisis, right, for them really.
Exactly.
It's like take Google's money or be dead, right? What do you do, right? I mean, given the choice, I think taking the Google's money and maybe in the
Yeah,
future
yeah.
hoping to be better is the best possible way than just shutting down the whole thing they have built for years, right?
Correct.
But one thing I'm positive is like even if Mozilla just dies, there will be a Firefox, right? It's open source, so
Yeah,
anyone can pick
yeah,
it up and continue, right, the project. But it feels like no
yeah,
one is really having any interest because
yeah. That is the
uh,
issue. I mean, yeah,
no one is coming with a Firefox based like browser. Like seriously, like
yeah.
there are bazillions of you know Chromium based browsers.
Absolutely.
Firefox based browsers are none. Like seriously none, right?
I mean, There are two or three, but they're not famous, right? So there is the issue.
Yeah, right. I mean, there is obviously, but still, it is like nearly none, right? You have Brave browser, you
Yeah,
have Opera,
yeah.
everything uses Chromium, if I'm correct.
Yeah, even Vivaldi is Chromium, right? So yeah,
So yeah, even Android browser by default is Chromium
yeah, yeah.
engine, right? So it's
Right.
like it's like everything is just absorbed by Google, right?
Yeah,
Anyway, I mean, hope they don't rip apart the internet. You know, they're good at doing that.
absolutely.
Hopefully they don't do that. Um, maybe Firefox will survive, right? Let's see. Um, I will
Yeah,
keep on using
yeah.
Firefox, right? I have a
Right,
lot of glitches with Firefox as of now, but that should be related to
right.
my GPU, not really Firefox acting up.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Firefox let me feel at home compared to Chrome, where
Right.
it doesn't feel natural, like just feels weird.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
So
it's a personal preference, right? Not really like a,
yeah, that is correct.
yeah. Like if I even switch to Chrome, I don't think I will miss any features except CLI Get and those kind of add-ons, which is
Mm-hmm.
only available in Firefox, right?
Right.
Other than that, there is nothing much to lose really going from. I mean, obviously, I will lose a lot of memory, but the thing, right? Like Firefox have a lot of debug pages, like about history memory, about history performance.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can get all these things with about history about, right? You know,
Yes. 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 Yes.
so
Right.
yeah, that is one brain food for you. Like if you want to be a pro at Firefox, you can just do some stuff. Even it has about history networking, if I'm correct. It just gives you DNS resolution and those kind of things.
Oh man.
You can override domains and
Mm-hmm.
all those things, right? I mean, like you can say Chrome doesn't give you that much features, right? Compared to Firefox,
Right.
the
Right.
debugging and all the advanced features of Firefox is too advanced to a point where but it need not be that much advanced, right? I mean, people don't use it. That's the thing. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
with that, I guess
So
we can close the
yeah.
topic.
So I guess with that 15th episode of Open Talks finds up here. So yeah, if you like the video, you know what to do, right? And also share it with your techie friends. They will see and they will also gain some knowledge. Also, do let us know in the comments and in the Tux forums if you have any concerns or if you have any doubts. And yeah, we will like come every Sunday around 9 p.m. Right? So yeah, so I guess let's say goodbye.